friends, Ian Mitchell here with M3 Podcast. Boy, have I got something good for you today. As we're starting this new series, we're really just trying to figure out what this looks like. And I'm so excited to bring guests and just to introduce you to the amazing people that are in my network. But as Bria and I are thinking about how we do this, I think probably the first couple episodes are still going to be just a little bit about me. And so one of the things that we want to talk about is what are the different pieces that are in my world. As I bring people in to talk, you understand the context. So as a reminder, what's M3? Mission, music, and media. I am a 26-year fraud fighter. I am a singer and songwriter. I do keynotes, I speak, and I fight human crime, human trafficking, child exploitation, scams, and elder financial exploitation. I never would have thought that these two mountains of my life would merge together. And now I'm on stages speaking and singing to bankers, law enforcement, payment professionals. I'm so blessed. So, as I've talked about in the last episodes, there are various things in my life. The nonprofit, The Noble, is a major focus for me. And it's basically a community of financial crime and bankers around the world that are fighting these crimes of exploitation. We call them human crimes. The music part, I'm excited. I'm hoping a couple weeks or just when this comes out, I'll have just released a new song called Alone, which is an interesting merger of something I wrote. I wrote this song years ago. In fact, my vocal coach, Kim Sandusky, one of the best vocal coaches on the planet, and she helped me become more confident in my voice. When I showed her this song Alone, probably a good 5 years ago, she said, Ian, this is an Ian song. It doesn't need to be released. But for some reason, this song Alone has stuck with me. And it's not because I'm feeling alone right now, but there's just something so important about the message of identity. And so I've merged this song Alone when I record it and when I released it, but when I recorded it, this song Alone with this conversation about being alone and looking for purpose and being who we're meant to be. But then this identity we find in the Lord, in God, and my faith is really important to me. And to realize that our identity is not in our job, it's not even in our family, it's not in our hobbies. Our identity is truly something far deeper. And so that's what this song touches on. So this is the next song to be released. If you haven't listened to the last song I released, I'm Done is the name of the song. I sang with one of my favorite people on the planet. And honestly, one of the best voices I've ever heard, period. Amber Carrington, she's now Amber Lewis, married to my producer, a good friend of mine, Dran Lewis. And so I want to have Amber on here, but check out I'm Done because she gives a performance. We kind of do a little bit of a duet. She gives a performance just unbelievable. But to me, so excited about the music stuff. Again, recording getting that next song Alone just because of the timing. I'm hoping that I'll have another song released. I don't do a lot of holiday songs anymore. So that might be the last one of the year, but already working on 3 songs for the next batch. So super excited about that. Also on the music side, Chris Graham, so my guitarist for the last several years, a dear friend of mine, has actually joined the Pursuit team. So he's joined Bree and he's coming in to focus on how can we expand the impact and the brand around the music side of my world. The financial crime, human crime fighting part is already huge. And how do we be more intentional about bringing the music side? So excited to have Chris on the team. I want to talk about Follow the Money. And if you recall, I mentioned it just briefly. I decided, honestly, I felt like it was a prompting in 2023, November 2023, that a movie needed to be made that brings hope to this very painful topic around exploitative crimes. And so I'm learning about this movie process, and I wrote what was called a story by. And the story by is the outline, basically the short story of what this movie is going to be about. Then I wrote the episodic series. It's going to be a movie followed by at least 6 or 7 episodic series highlighting these crimes. And I wrote this, and a lot of the main characters follow my life and then are loosely based on very interesting, a mishmash of very unbelievable and interesting people. But basically, it's this whole concept of how do amazing people come together to overcome their own challenges with identity and purpose and struggling with the day-to-day job to live a life of purpose through their work and disrupt organized crime and exploitation. So that's what Follow the Money is about. It leads to this takedown of the Shadow King and this really Justice League ensemble cast that's going to come together and just follow the data, follow the money to go after these criminal organizations that really, if you remember, I talked about this last time, really have arisen since coming out of the pandemic several years ago. These criminals diversified their business model and they got involved in all kinds of crimes, and one of them being scams. And we'll talk about that when I dig into this crime segment of this conversation here shortly. But on the movie, so Yvonne Harvey and Yvonne's been an unbelievable partner. I got to meet her over a year ago. We've been on this journey together. We've been meeting with producers and directors, and she's an accomplished TV producer. She's never done a movie before. And her and I are walking out and learning something together. She's super excited about the story. What's really important to her and me is that we create a construct that helps all of us protect our homes from these crimes of exploitation. So we're going to launch a Protect Our Home app along with the movie and the series that basically not only gives practical red flags and advice on how you can be aware that you're going to be able to assign to your kids, but then also very pragmatic, very real steps on what you can do to protect your home, just like the app says. So we're in the process of launching both of those under the Follow the Money. Yvonne is leading that part for me, and she's amazing, just a wonderful person. And I'll bring her onto this too. And she doesn't like to be in front of the camera, but she's a natural and just a beautiful person. So, but interesting. This was it this week. All the weeks are blending together. It was this week. Yvonne and I were in Nashville, and so we're meeting a bunch of amazing people. And we had the chance to sit down with a bunch of producers and directors, really through an organization that is hopefully going to help fund this project. And we're in that part of the process, learning so much. And I got a chance to go to this production company called Kingdom Story. And if you don't know Kingdom Story, it is a faith driven it's, production company. It's done some big movies. I should actually list them, but the one that comes to mind is I Can Only Imagine, about Bart Millard and that song, the beautiful song that came out probably over a decade ago now and really touched a lot of people. Probably a couple decades now. I don't know. It's been around for a while. And they do these amazing movies. I believe they did the movie Jesus Revolution, another great movie. And so we had a chance to go meet at their headquarters in Nashville. And oh my gosh, what an experience. I mean, we've gotten to meet some amazing directors and producers. One of my favorites is a gentleman named Dr. Kevin McAfee. What an unbelievable human being. He's worked on really some really cool projects. But walking into this building of where all this amazing work's being done, and especially for God, but this amazing work, and getting a chance to just sit down with the director of the person that selects all their projects. And our project isn't probably fit into their model because it's not a faith project, although I do believe God's heart's wrapped in and protecting people, but really got a chance to understand even more how production companies select projects. Um, and it was just an amazing experience. You know, having been around in the business world, based on my gray hair, you can tell, for quite a while, I get a chance to every once in a while to go into buildings and places that I just think are so cool. I remember going into the Google's headquarters. I still want to go to Apple, by the way. I haven't been there yet, but I've gotten a chance to go into buildings, JP Morgan Chase's headquarters, and I went to the top floor of there where I think it was right next to their CEO, Jamie Dimon's office. And I believe there was a meeting I was invited to that was in the private boardroom meeting room, and that was unbelievable. I got to go to the SAS, it's an analytic company headquarters, and I got to have breakfast and meet with their CEO. And that was one of the highlights of my life because I was a SAS coder early in my career. I actually coded analytics. I wasn't very good, but I did that. And I got to meet and I had breakfast with their CEO twice, I think. And I got to go to his home office and have a meeting in one of his private conference rooms. And I remember not only did at the time they had blue M&Ms and these bowls of M&Ms, they partnered with the M&M company and they only had blue M&Ms in these bowls. And I remember all these amazing stones and rocks and like rare earth minerals and such all over the office that was decorating the office. It was really cool. That was a highlight. I've had a chance to go into FBI buildings where you're going through layers of security that you can't even believe. I've got to go into the United Nations building in Austria and New York City. That was a cool experience. All these amazing places. And so, but I was at the Secret Service headquarters just a couple weeks ago. I mean, there have been so many cool experiences, but something about walking into a movie production facility not only did it have that creative vibe, and some of them, the security ones have kind of a really lockdown security vibe, and the business ones, the corporate banks, I mean, they're impressive and they're amazing, and what an experience. They definitely have a corporate feel. I walked into Kingdom Story and it just felt, I don't know, my wife always jokes with me, felt like home. It felt so creative. It just felt like an interesting space where, something really cool. The lights were, I mean, most of them weren't even turned on. They were just dim. All the furniture wasn't just normal furniture. It all had just a real creative um, shapes to them, textures. I sat on a couch that looked cool, wasn't that comfortable, but looked amazing. That was just such a neat place to be, and just to be talking about and learning about movie production. So much I need to learn. Um, I will tell you, this movie has to get made. We're losing generational wealth as a country. There are children that are being exploited. There are, of course, we know the trafficking issues that are being highlighted. This is a major international problem, national problem. And so this movie of protecting our homes and fighting crimes of exploitation in a hopeful way has got to get made, and it has to get made quickly. And so my aggressive thought, as we've been working on this for years, I have to start filming this in 2026. This has to get released so quick. And so I'm continuing to walk through all these doors that are opening to meet amazing production facilities and people that have been in the movie industry for a long time. I'm learning about the business and the structure around the movie industry. We'll share a lot more in the future. Oh yeah, I want to share two other buildings too that I got to go into. One was a studio. I call this a studio. I had heard that movies used to build these elaborate sets, and I think that they would just recreate, I don't know, the Millennium Falcon or recreate a Western town. And then we moved to green screens, and when you think of Marvel, it's all these green screens, and you can see videos of that. Now they're moving into these high definition, I don't know, video boards. And I went to one of the largest in the country down in Dallas, Texas. Let me see if I can remember the name. And I got to meet the gentleman who founded it or started it. I think it was Trilogy Studios. I think it was the name. It was so cool. Got a private tour of these stages, these video stages that were floor to ceiling in a giant warehouse. And a couple of them had, even the ceiling was these video boards, and you couldn't see a seam in them. And when you walked into them, you felt immersed into not just like TV screens. It actually felt like you were there. I mean, it actually felt like you were in a desert or in the mountains or in a high speed car chase. I mean, it was unbelievable. That was just such a cool experience that I got to experience earlier this year. I'm trying to think of another really neat building that I've been into. And I know I've kind of gotten sidetracked on what was experienced this week, but one of the beautiful things that studios, my goodness, I've been in studios in Nashville and in North Carolina that just are, like, as a musician, getting a chance to record in studios where REM and some just, I mean, huge artists have made amazing records. Um, what is it? Martina McBride studio in Nashville. I still want to go to Cash Cabin, but I got invited at one point to go there. But to me, recording studios are really cool also. But there's just something about the texture of buildings and spaces. Oh, a record label. I was able to go and write some music when I first moved to Chattanooga at the Curb Records record label, working with one of their songwriters. And I got to experience the songwriting rooms that are at Curb Records, where all these artists are coming in and writing unbelievable music in these really creative spaces. It wasn't as fancy as Kingdom, but each room had its own creative space and feel, and just amazing. So I know I just threw a lot at you, and I wasn't planning on getting into spaces, but holy smokes. I mean, I have gotten to experience so many amazing places around the world. Let alone Shanghai. And I mean, I could keep going. I guess as I'm sitting here thinking, isn't it true? Isn't it true that these spaces, if you've ever walked into a room and something's off and you can't tell, you get in the room and not only does it feel old, or maybe it looks great, but feels cold. There's just something so important, and I know, like, there's, like, the feng shui and that kinda stuff. I don't quite understand what that is, but there's terms like that. But there's just something so true about a space, and I hope each of you have a home, a room in your home. I've got my office that I've set up to try to be a kind of a space of peace and just simplicity. the church that we're in, as I've purchased this church building and we're revamping it. Each room is going to have its different feel. We're on the early stages. I'm just trying to get the roof to stop leaking. The water problems I'm having is tremendous. But even just the sanctuary, and as we start this event center, spaces, it's so important. The physical space, the invitation to kind of be in a warm space, depending on how you feel, a creative space, a peaceful space, a space that's productive. It's so powerful. Anyway, so awesome week. Learned a lot, met some producers that just were happy enough to just share information. A young man that's done a ton of work in the independent space, and what a business mind he had. And a gentleman that's working on a giant Western series right now. I mean, I just got to sit down with these amazing people and learn. I'm really enjoying that. I'm 48 years old and I get to learn every single day. And I just want to encourage all of you that are wanting to stay young. There's nothing better than learning something new intentionally, not being afraid to change, um, and not being afraid to be the dumbest person in the room, to ask the simple questions. Because all of us just want to share what we know, especially if you love what you do. It's okay not to have an answer. So, for all of you that are maybe looking for something new, but you don't have that experience, you're scared to step out, I am loving, absolutely loving the uncomfortable feeling of stepping out into something I know nothing about and just engaging with people and learning from them. And so many of them want to help. So many of them are excited about to share their knowledge. And who knows? It may turn into something special, and you may meet somebody new that completely changes your life. So, for any of you that don't have a career, for any of you that want to get into a career, want to change your career, move to a new place, and you don't have a friend group, get uncomfortable. Go into a place, go into a space that feels right, feels cozy. If it's peace, if it's energy, if you're an older person and you want to get some young energy, go hang out with some young people where they hang out and go meet them. One of my good friends at the gym is, heck, he's got to be easily mid 70s. I just bought today a Patrick Mahomes jersey. Don't hate me on the Chiefs stuff. I'm a Chiefs fan since I was a little kid. But the warmth he carries and who he is, just him wanting to talk. The guy at the gym that I get coffee from, he's 78 years old. The stories I learned from him, and I don't have anything in common with him. Don't let your fear of people keep you from staying young by challenging yourself, learning something new. I love it. I'm mid-career, midlife, on the downside of both. We'll see what God has planned for me. But this constant being uncomfortable, and I wasn't nervous going into Kingdom Story, but I recognized that it was exciting. And so anyway, that's the movie journey. We'll get more into the movie itself. We've got a creative day with Yvonne, and we're going to finish writing the story. And then hopefully we're sometime in November actually getting the team together to make this a reality. So Follow the Money is coming, and Protect Our Home app is coming, and amazing things are going to happen along that. And in the process, I get to have a ton of fun meeting people and learning something new. Okay. So enough of that. Bree, what do you think? I know we wanted to cover a couple things. We weren't planning on this space tangent. I know that. Before I get into scams, what did I forget to bring up? You're right, Bree. I went on a Chiefs tangent. I guess it's just football season, and I didn't finish that thought. But this gentleman that is at the gym, he sells jerseys and sells really cool, kind of eccentric shirts, which you probably can imagine I like. And so the I bought a Chiefs jersey from him today at the gym, and just a simple thing like that opens up a door for conversation. And every day, this man, we don't have the same faith, same religion in common, but we sure had the same outlook in life. And if I didn't choose to interact and support, and I would miss out on a blessing that I get every single day at the gym when I'm there. And him and I see each other and fist bump, and we just get to encourage each other the best way we can. And so even just as simple as buying a shirt from somebody can be a way. I mean, I sat next to him at his locker today after I bought the shirt, and we just visited. It usually is just a fist bump at the gym, quick gym conversation, but we sat down. We really got to visit today, and I think we pass so many people in life that simple things can open doors not only for mutual blessing, but then He reminds me every day that tomorrow's not promised. Again, a gentleman who's in his late 70s. I've had 3 near-death experiences, but now I know why he reminds me every day. Every single day when I'm at the gym, I say, "Hey, see you tomorrow." He always says, "God willing." We really don't know if tomorrow is coming. And he reminds me every single day. And I get reminded every single day how important my words are. And so that blessing and that interaction and that me stepping aside and having the space to do that just completely blesses me. And hence, I find myself owning a Chiefs jersey, a Patrick Mahomes jersey. And for being a diehard Chiefs fan, got a lot of the older school Chiefs stuff, but I don't have anything from the new team. So I'm now the proud owner of a number 15 jersey. Again, Chief haters, I get it. No worries about that. But that jersey opened the door for a conversation that was mutual blessing. So let us talk scams. Let us talk financial crime. Let us talk about how we protect ourselves.
If it's too good to be true, then it's too good to be true. Don't let them take advantage of you.
So I believe the first episode I talked about some of these crimes, and I may have talked about scam centers. I don't know if you've heard this term. This is something I've spent a lot of time over the last couple of years studying, learning from amazing people, by the way. International Justice Mission does a lot of work on this. My friend Erin West, who was a previous district attorney out of California, she's now devoted her life on what's called pig butchering scams. We don't like that name, but it's like these crypto scams that then led to these big scam centers getting developed. And Bree's going to show some pictures here about what these scam centers look like, courtesy of Erin West. She's just an amazing powerhouse in the industry on this topic. These scam centers, as you're seeing these pictures, they are these giant compounds. It started out with like little homes during the pandemic. These criminal organizations that are located, it started in Miramar, I believe. These criminal organizations basically tourism, crime related to tourism, when travel shut down, they lost their business. So they're like, hey, we need to diversify our business. These criminals are business, are entrepreneurs in the business evil sense. So they're like, we have to do something else. And they decided to get into this scam, the fraud game and or fraud crime. So they started, the new people needed jobs. They started posting these jobs on job boards, and they started trying to find educated young people, multilingual, started posting job boards. And as these people were in lockdown looking for jobs, they found these jobs. And what would happen is I'm told from people that are international and have been overseas, they would get off the train, off a bus, they would get to the location of their job to start work. They would hand over their working documents. These people would take them, they would take them to a facility and then basically trap them. For lack of a better word, they would enslave them and they would force them to commit scams. And what it did is it created a workforce to actually start the scam business. Again, it started in small houses. I remember seeing early on a couple years ago, these scam houses, they had anywhere from 10 to 25 people in the actual home. The home would have fence around it and barbed wire around it. That's where it started. And now, as you can see in those pictures, these are giant compounds. I mean, there was one compound last year in the Philippines that was on 25 acres. It enslaved 1,000 people. And talking to people like Erin West and Charles Complel that did basically some research on it, and IJM and others, we're learning that there are thousands of people, thousands and thousands that are enslaved in these compounds. There's walls around these compounds that are 8 feet, 10 feet tall. And these people are forced to scam us. They're targeting, they're the ones that are behind these text messages. They're the ones, they have created a machine, a mechanism around scamming. They've created a business, and it's evil on both sides of the equation is what I say. It's evil on the generational wealth that is getting stolen in the hundreds of billions of dollars. And I've heard estimates based on the underreporting that could be significantly high. Some have said over $1 trillion, but it's a lot of money that is leaving our country annually in the form of scams. And it's happening in small dollars, big dollars. It's happening $50. A couple of my friends lost, $500, $600. I think I talked about someone that's close to me that lost $5,000. And then I've talked to people that have lost, their families have lost all their retirement savings in $1, $2, $3 million. These criminals are, I say the criminals, but remember, it's evil on both sides of the equation, the scam and the person being enslaved. So a lot of them, these enslaved people that are being forced by these criminals, are targeting all of us because we're all vulnerable. They target us because we're lonely. They target us because we are working too fast. I almost fell for a scam not too long ago. We're not paying attention. We're too busy. They're targeting us because we want to make money, and maybe we could say a little bit of our greed. They target all kinds of vulnerabilities because we all have them. Sometimes it starts off with a little text message saying, "Hey." Sometimes it's Instagram post by somebody that's attractive saying, "You look great. I get those all the time. I have a hard time now, I'm sure like all of you, trying to determine, is that text or is that email or is that direct message legit? It's it's a big business, this scamming business. So, where I'm going, and I'm sure we'll talk more about scams and the business model behind it, but something just happened several weeks ago that was a big deal. These scam compounds are run, like I was telling you, in a business model. And there was this young man, 37 years old, that basically was running a scam compound that made about $30 million a day. And this looks like it was based in Cambodia. And this person was one of, I think I've heard of two scam compounds getting disrupted in the last several months, which is a big deal. Um, somebody I was on stage last week speaking at a telecommunications symposium, and I was speaking to somebody that was former CIA, and I believe a stat, I may get it wrong, but I believe the stat was, by his estimation, it was former CIA estimation, 0.05% of all the scams was coming out of this one compound. So meaningful and yet very small in the overall context of the money going through these scam centers. So this is a major problem. One of the problems we're going to highlight in the movie, but basically taking down the shadow kings is what law enforcement and the banks. I was meeting with a university yesterday out of the West Coast that's doing research and trying to advocate for, protecting scams. A lot of amazing conversations are going on, and a lot needs to be done. But we have to understand that this business model has been scaled. They're using AI, they're using physical bodies that are enslaved, they're using technology and satellite internet connections. And I mean, just it's unbelievable what they're doing to scale this business of scams. They're run by business people, and I say that loosely. And this is where this idea of a shadow king, and I believe with this takedown of that picture you saw, that was a shadow prince. 0.05%, 0.5% of all scams go through that one center. There is an organizational construct that is facilitating and organizing and permitting and enslaving people. And that's what we're up against. Now, I'm not saying this to create fear at all or to scare you. There's been movies that have come out, and some have been good movies, Beekeeper and others that are highlighting this. These scam compounds have made some storylines. Um, but a lot of times we glorify the crime. What I want to tell you is there is a significant amount being done by law enforcement, um, by the financial institutions, and by, even more importantly, advocates like Aaron West, advocates that are actually IJM, that are actually going and um, trying to disrupt, dismantle, educate, unite, equip. And so all I'm telling you is this isn't something to fear. It's something to be educated about. But you need to understand that in today's environment where these criminals have created a business model around our exploitation and the exploitation of enslavement of people, we have to protect each other. So when we're all moving too fast, we're all doing things, going about our daily life, pause for a minute, especially if money's involved. If you're booking a car, don't go and dial Google the phone number to call and then call the first phone number. Um, just be, if money's involved and there's urgency, try to take a minute and pause. I was getting ready to send some money, like I was mentioning a couple months ago, and I was moving quick. My days were filled. I do a lot of travel. And it was my wife that said, "Hey, hon, before you send that money, are you sure it's the right place?" And I, in my haste, I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And then I realized, no, I actually am not. And so even I, as a career fraud fighter, find myself sometimes a little more vulnerable. So pause, have conversations with your family members. We need to help protect each other, create safe words. There's all kinds of things we're going to talk about in these series about what we can do to protect ourselves. But just know we're operating, we're trying to protect ourselves from a business model, a machine, a mechanism. So for that reason, we need to fight back, not only with innovation and our own good AI and amazing people, law enforcement, they're all getting involved. And there's been a lot of task forces and things like this is becoming a national priority. It's not quite there yet, but it's becoming one. In the meantime, care for your home, care for your parents, care for your children, because young people are, this isn't just elders, young people are susceptible to these scams. Care for yourself. Take a minute and pause. I think it's the AARP that has some good sayings and some great commercials and a whole campaign around this. Forget their 3 word. We'll bring it up and maybe we'll ask somebody from the AARP to, come on to this podcast at some point. But just pause. Know that these are more than just nuisances on these scams. Know that they're coming all the time, and just because you get a toll booth text message, just because you get a PayPal email or text messages, and a lot of them look really good, sit back and say, did I really do a transaction? Does this really make sense? And don't be afraid, please, to ask somebody about it. And I'm even tell you, ask your bank. There's so many amazing fraud fighters, financial crime fighters. Not all banks are the same, but there's a lot of them that exist in the bank. Just asking them, saying, does this feel legitimate to you? Go into your branch. That can help in a long way. So get out of the isolation and start. Nothing is that urgent, especially if you're going to put a down payment on a house and it's a big amount. A friend of a friend or a family member of a friend had that happen to him, and they luckily got their money back, but the money went to a scammer. And so pause, ask for help. That's what I wanted to cover today. We're fighting against a machine that is in the business of scamming. And then lastly, do me a favor. This is just on the softer side. If you're a praying person, pray for the people that are enslaved. There are a lot of good people that are being forced to do things that they do not want to do. And just know, as we watch YouTube videos and such about these scam centers getting taken down, which I really like them. One of the leading ones is a friend of mine, a wonderful guy. Maybe while you're watching this, or you have a scam text and you know it's a scam text and you delete it, maybe you just lift up a prayer for the person behind it, because you never know. They may be trapped. It puts it all in a different context. So anyway, there you go. That's the reality of evil on both sides of the equation, of these scam centers and these human trafficking centers that have created a global crisis. Thank you for your time, your attention. Hopefully you got a little bit out of this. Like I said, in the future, we're going to do music. Chris and I are going to be putting music together on this. So I want to bring some interesting people to interview so you can actually hear from experts in the field that are researching each of these different types of crimes. That's all coming. Really appreciate you. Thank you for watching the M3 show. Thank you for hanging out. Again, Ian Mitchell. Check me out on Spotify or any of your music platforms, especially the song Living with Heart, because we all need to do that. That's why I wear the heart on my shirt. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Bree, for your help here, and we'll talk to you soon. If you enjoyed the M3 show and you want to watch all the new releases, click subscribe. You know how it works. Secondly, if you want to support my nonprofit, the one I established to fight human crimes like child exploitation and human trafficking and scams, click the QR code, scan it, make a donation. That would be hugely appreciated. And if you want to stay updated on all the music, again, I release music regularly. Go and click that link in the description, and we're on every major platform: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. You can look up Ian Mitchell. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for the support, and I look forward to being with you next time.
I am not done yet. I am not done.